Morning everybody. So I was on the Rosco show last night, his late night show. I wasn't going to go in. I was just content with actually listening to the conversation that the panel and he were having. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to go in. He dropped me the link. He said I could go in if I wanted to go in, so I went in. So I went in. And I had a bit of a disagreement with one of the panelists. I can't remember a name. I don't think I even got a name. Her avatar was a military cap badge. I think it was a military hat. So I'm assuming at some point either somebody she knows or herself was in the military. But she was making the argument that people have to work with the police, that there are good police officers within the police force, which I don't deny. There probably are good police officers within the police force. But my argument was that no matter how good these police officers are, you know, they may be good at catching criminals and stuff like that, but they will still follow orders. So if they're ordered to kick your door in at dawn because you've written some hurty words on the internet, they will follow those orders. So my question would be, what makes a good police officer? Because to me, that's not a good police officer. If you follow orders without question and don't question orders that you feel are immoral or not in the spirit of the law, you have a duty and an obligation to question it. And we don't see any of that. We don't see any of these people questioning laws or their orders. We don't. I kept on bringing up Nottingham, because that's the first real protest I went to. I knew the police were bad, but I didn't realise how bad they were until that protest in Nottingham. I'd had my interactions with them briefly in past protests where I've gone to counter-protest, stand up to racism on my own. A good example of that would be the one where I was at the town hall and stand up to racism called the police on me because they were threatened by me. I was one person. They were a group of about 10, and yet they were threatened by one person. It wasn't anything to do with me being threatening or anything like that. It had everything to do with trying to shut me down and trying to stop me from filming in public, which was my right. Now, when these two police officers turned up, I call them police officers, they were PCSOs, so not really police officers. But this shows how unprofessional these people are. They went over to speak to Stand Up to Racism, get their side of the story. Never came over to speak to me, get my side of things, ask me who I was. Just completely took the people that Stand Up to Racism on their word, which is my first indication that the police are not on our side. They're heavily politicised and they are the enemy. It's like when I see auditors, they think they're having friendly banter with the police. And I can read between the lines. I can see that covertly they're interrogating them, trying to get little snippets of intel, information out of them through what the auditors believe is just playful banter. I see it all the time. On the side of a hill. That was a bit tough getting up that one. But yeah, the police are not our friend. And this is not the naivety of some commentators on the internet who go on these panel shows. They still believe that the establishment and the institutions work for them and that they can work with them. The fact of the matter is, we can try and work with the police all we like. But the truth of the matter is, the police don't want to work with us. Danny Rosco, after I made my point, brought up a video of, I think it was the video from last night's protest. Was it called Dis or something like that? Where a woman was punched in the face by one of the Stand Up to Racism, a man, right in front of the police. They witnessed it, didn't arrest him. When she called for his arrest, they told her to go back to the protest. And now, and this lady's trying to tell me that there are good officers within the police force, we just got to work with them. Nah. Look at the Grooming Gang scandal. How many police officers do you think it took to cover that up, to keep it a secret from the public for almost 2 decades, more than 2 decades? A lot of people saying this is from the early 70s that this has been going on. So how many police officers over the course of that time do you think it took to cover that up? And then you come to me and say, there are lots of good police officers, we just need to work with the police. No. The whole police force, from the boots on the ground officers to the hierarchy, needs to be reformed completely, revamped, looked into how we are policed, and it changed completely. The laws that they use need to be more heavily defined, not being so nebulous, so they can use these laws, abuse them to intimidate and harass people on the right wing of politics, because that's what they do. I watched a video just before I came out. Can't remember his name, can't pronounce his name. It's the councillor, I think it's from the Manchester council, that was trying to blow the whistle on the Grooming Gang scandal. He's been arrested, he's been harassed because they don't want him to testify at the upcoming inquiry. They're trying to silence people because they know their number is up. They really do. The police force is in it up to their neck in corruption and scandal. They are not our friends. Not at all. Definitely not our friends. Anyway, going to cut this one short. I will add another point to this, right? I will add another story to this. When I went to the Nottingham protest, we were trying to film in front of the protest. We were filming what Antifa were doing and what the police were doing. You've probably seen it on my channel. But there was a lady with the Israeli flag wrapped round her, and a guy with a dog was harassing her with the dog. He was trying to get behind her, wouldn't leave her alone. So I had to go over and intervene and tell him to, do one. And all this was happening in front of the police. There's about 10 police officers over the other side of the road. They didn't do anything. They didn't come over. They didn't intervene. They didn't tell him to move on or anything like that, because he was clearly harassing the woman. And then when I intervened, I got in between him and her. He assaulted me. He pushed my head. Now, I used my common sense. I didn't retaliate because I knew these police officers were watching. And I knew that the minute I retaliated, they'd be all over me like a bad smell. Definitely. But they did nothing when he assaulted me or anything like that. Straight in front of the police. And yet this lady on Danny Roscoe's live stream last night is trying to tell me there are good police officers and that we should work with them. No. Definitely not. Anyway, I'll leave it there. This is Vindicator, sign off.